Toning isn't real, but if you think it is, you're not stupid. Hey everyone, me Chris from Body Noble Fitness Coach. Today, we're going to talk about our topic. Toning is not real. Okay, so we're going to get into why this isn't real and why going for this could create more problems, because you're going to be chasing something that's unattainable, or you're misunderstanding how the body's processes go. So what you're going to chase, you're never going to get, because you're going to go about it in the wrong way. Most people, when they say toned, okay, they're talking about being lean, being defined, which is basically when your muscle is able to be seen because you have low body fat, or the shape of your muscle is able to be seen because you have low body fat. So you're defined, athletic looking. You know, those are some of what they mean instead of toned, because you can't, a muscle, it either gets bigger or it gets smaller. So it doesn't tone. That process behind that, it doesn't work. But where it is for most people is they can't see their muscle because their body fat is too high. Okay, so the science behind this, if you are trying to become more toned, you're trying to become leaner, you're trying to build muscle to add more shape to whatever areas while having lower body fat, the thing you have to do, you have to understand training and understand training right. So muscles only do one thing, and that's why there's not a tone thing. They only adapt to tension. You know, they have to tension and how much force they have to produce. So when you exercise, when you work out, you create tension within the muscles. And if you create enough tension, that muscle may be forced to grow. But if it's still covered up with body fat, you won't be able to see it. So you may need to fix your nutrition so that you can attain fat loss, which will allow you to see that muscle there. So there's no fibers that only get toned. They just either get bigger or they get smaller. And a lot of times they get smaller is due to poor dietary habits, because you're forcing your body to eat up your muscle tissue for fuel. And that's usually something you don't want, because that also slows down your metabolism and makes it easier for you to get fat. That may contribute to a lot of people when they try to tone, they achieve that skinny fat look. So they're lighter, they're smaller, but their body fat goes up because they eat up all of their muscle. And so toning workouts seem to work at first, because when you're a beginner, you have you're basically coming off the couch. So your body makes adaptations to any bit of exercise that you do. So with most people who prescribe toning workouts, it's a very low level, low intensity activity. But because you're just starting out, you haven't made those adaptations. So you'll see a little bit of improvement. But what happens is, as time progresses, because it's such a low level activity, your body will have no reason to adapt after it makes the initial changes from going from not working out to working out. So they work in the beginning, and they do help you burn more calories, which will help you drop body fat. After that, they plateau. And because you're not giving your body a stimulus to adapt to, it doesn't give you anything for free. You have to work for it. And if you're working beneath your capacity, or you're doing too low a level of work, it has no reason to change. So you don't change. Speaking of what actually creates that tone work, and speaking of that, what they call that general adaptation syndrome, you have to give your body a reason to change. You have to train to create the change. This is what actually creates the tone look there. So you're going to need to apply progressive overload. So again, in some different way, and there are different ways to apply progressive overload. You know, you don't always have to lift heavier weights like some people think. You can perform more volume. You can choose different exercises. You can increase the time under tension. You can shorten your rest periods, or use extended sets where you're lengthening the amount of time that you're working. There's a lot of different areas under that where you're using progressive overload to give your body a reason to change. This isn't always about lifting more weight, unless you're a power lifter. And also, progressive overload can be used to help your nutrition program, because if you have high body fat, and that's why you can't see your muscle, and that's why you don't have the toned look, things like performing more volume and more density in your workouts and things like that can help you burn more body fat there. So those are all of the things in there where we're talking about progressive overload. Another thing is making sure you hit your protein intake. A lot of people try to test themselves with the workouts and stuff like that. They may try to grow muscle or hold on to muscle, And where you start to look at studies, and the studies will show that once you get exercising, your needs for protein go up. And I'm going to add this in there because I'm seeing a lot of these studies in there where they're talking about anabolic resistance. So what they're showing is as we age, our protein requirements go up. So people neglect that protein intake, knowing that higher protein intakes help you at least hold on to muscle and may help you build muscle, which also helps you build shape and can create your tone look or help contribute to your tone look. You got to control your calorie deficit, because if you make it too big of a calorie deficit, of course, you can eat up your muscle tissue. You can put your body in a position where it's slowing down your metabolism to protect itself. So that's something that's that's a contributor to being skinny fat. So a lot of people who try for tone and they become skinny fat, their poor nutritional habits, which include their protein intake and having too big of a deficits, those all play a role. And remember, if you need to lose that fat, the biggest contributor to your ability to burn calories, which is your basal metabolic rate, your metabolism, is controlled by your lean body mass. So if you're not preserving your lean body mass, you're hurting yourself in the end run because you're losing muscle and you're gaining fat. So you're going further away from that tone thing. You can't tone the calorie deficit. You have to fuel the muscle to reveal the shape. If your calories get too low from under eating, or your calorie deficit gets too big, the body becomes stingy with fat because it doesn't require much energy to maintain fat, and wasteful with muscle. This is why people get skinny fat instead of getting toned or getting leaner. To get that look, you need your body to use that stored energy for fat and while building some muscle and making sure you get enough protein to repair that muscle. And once you understand this, you stop chasing workouts and you start building your body.